let us get to some headlines from across the state of Texas. This is going to encompass a little bit of I think since the last time we did some headlines, but some things that are worth mentioning. One of them is we're going to talk about the Denton Broncos. Okay, the Denton Broncos have made a hire. They've been looking for a head coach, and they have gone to a familiar name, a name that you may know, and that is they have hired the former head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. That's right. A former Big 12 head coach is going to be coaching the Denton Broncos. I'm talking about David Batty. David Batty, of course, cut his teeth in the Texas high school football world. He was a coach at North Dallas and Irving MacArthur before he went into the college ranks. He was an assistant at, he was a head coach at Kansas, but then before that he was at Texas. He's at A&M, Rice, Florida Atlantic, where he was most recently. He's coming back to Texas to take over at Denton High. So that's something.
Yeah.
We'll have a former Big 12 head coach coming to take over at Denton High, to take over the Broncos. So excited to see what he does there. Excited to get him on the phone at some point. But yes, David Batty will be the next head coach of the Denton Broncos. Staying in the DFW Metroplex, Mesquite ISD has made a couple of hires, both of which I really, really like. One of them, let me make sure I pull this up because I am good at my job. Okay. Mesquite ISD has made a couple of hires. The first of which is that at Mesquite High, they have gone down to Houston and hired Houston Yates head coach Rafael Thomas. Now, I think, we talked about this on Tep and Step last week. I think this is a home run hire for Mesquite High. Really love this hire. From what Matt Stepp tells me, he was actually in on and close to getting the West Mesquite job, which they ended up giving to Steven Jackson at Seagoville, and all he did was turn around West Mesquite in a hot minute. Mm-hmm. Mesquite is in need of a kick in the rear end. And Rafael Thomas, what he did at Houston Yates, I think is really, really impressive. This, to me, feels like very similar to the Steven Jackson hire. Mm-hmm. That what he did at Seagoville was really impressive, and it translated immediately at West Mesquite. What Rafael Thomas has done at Houston Yates, I think, is really impressive. And it may not be that big name value that people know, but I think you're going to get to know the name of Rafael Thomas in a hot minute because this guy is a winner, most certainly. The other one, he's also, by the way, played at Oklahoma State, and he was he played at Lufkin. Actually got drafted by the Dodgers, if you're interested in baseball. And then there is Mesquite Poteet. Mesquite Poteet has hired somebody. Mesquite Poteet went and hired Hebron offensive coordinator Terrence Orr to be their next head coach. Terrence Orr is a name you may remember. He was a star at DeSoto for a while. His father, Terry Orr, used to play for Washington, and he was a two-time Super Bowl champion. His three brothers, Nick Orr played at TCU, Chris Orr played at Wisconsin, Zach Orr played at North Texas, and then played 3 seasons in the NFL. In fact, he was the second team All-Pro in 2016. So, yes, there are the Orr family has deep roots in Texas, and Terrence Orr has established himself as one of the brightest offensive minds in Texas high school football. I think what Cody Groves is doing, that's 3 hires in 2 years now, with Steven Jackson there at West Mesquite. Then you add in Terrence Orr, hiring him at Mesquite Poteet, and Rafael Thomas there at taking over Mesquite High. Feeling like 3 for 3. It feels pretty darn good. Three pretty heady hires there at Mesquite ISD. A notable retirement. Russell Lucas has retired at Sweetwater. Russell Lucas probably most notable for what he did before he got to Sweetwater, where he took Hamlin to a state championship game a couple of years back, and an all-time good dude. We certainly wish him a 35-year coaching career. He led Hamlin to a title game in 2019. He had stopped at Rotan, at Hamlin, and then at Sweetwater. He was, of course, most notably, he led them to the title game in 2019, where they fell in a really tight one to Mart in that 2019 title game. Wish him all the best. He finishes with a 161-85 career. Great dude there. Russell Lucas announced his retirement there at Sweetwater. Grapevine has made a hire, and they've dipped into the college ranks to do it. They have hired Ryan Smith, who is the offensive coordinator, or I should say was the offensive coordinator at East Texas Baptist University. This is a pretty big hire here. He had done good things there at ETBU and now goes and gets a head coaching job there at Grapevine, which is in need of a jolt. This is a Grapevine team that actually went 0-10 last year. They need kind of mired in a bit of rebuilding. They're in a tough district there, District 358 Division 2. But he was offensive coordinator at Midlothian Heritage in 2022, so he's no stranger to the high school ranks. He went 1 year to one year at offensive coordinator at ETBU. Now back into the high school ranks as the head coach at Grapevine is Ryan Smith. McAllen Rowe down to the Rio Grande Valley. They have hired a name that Texas A&M fans may be familiar with. Texas A&M, they have hired a Weslaco East offensive coordinator and former Texas A&M wide receiver Jamar Taylor to be their next head coach. Taylor he's a 3-year starter for the Aggies, where he finished his playing career in 2003, was 6th-round pick for the Giants. Then after a very brief NFL career, he kind of returned to the Rio Grande Valley, bounced around a few different places. He was the offensive coordinator for Edinburgh Vela, kind of when they were on their rise from 2018 to 2023. And then he spent 2024 as Weslaco East before now he's getting the head job at McAllen Rowe. Excited to see what Jamar Taylor does there at McAllen Rowe. Ennis has named their new head coach. Of course, we talked a lot about Sam Harrell retiring after a long and legendary career. They have stayed in-house for their hire. They have essentially just promoted Don Drake. Promoted's a weird word. He's their athletic director. But Don Drake is going to be the next head coach of there. He's got plenty of coaching experience himself. He actually started the McKinney Boyd program in 2006. Went 64-67 for over 12 seasons and really got them up. If you remember, old timers like me may remember. In 2006, they started off like 0-10, and then the next year they went 9-4. One of the great stories in Texas high school football. He is no stranger to success and no stranger to Texas high school football. Don Drake will be taking over for Sam Harrell there at Ennis as the next head coach. Elsewhere, here is something you don't see every day. So, Andy Smith is the former head coach of the Alpine Bucks. Okay, he was the head coach there at Alpine last year, and went 2 seasons, went in 10-13 there for Alpine. Now you're familiar with Alpine, right? You know where that is, way out there in the Big Bend region. Okay, so I would like to ask you, what would be a natural landing spot for a guy leaving Alpine? Maybe a place like El Paso, right? Or maybe a place, Midland would be great.
How about the beach?
How about Corpus Christi?
This guy was fiending for some sand and sun.
Corpus Christi, London head coach Andy Smith. He is leaving Alpine to go all the way there. Now, he does have some history in that part of the world. He had 2 stints at Gregory Portland where he was offensive coordinator there. He's also spent 4 seasons at Corpus Christi King.
There's got to be some family ties there.
Alpine was a bit of an outlier for him.
But now it looks weird.
But it is a little odd when you take a look at the trajectory here. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of time here, and then zip, and then we're right back there. It's like, what are you thinking out there? Anyway, Alpine is open, by the way, looking for a next head coach, so call me. And finally, I promised you a story that might make you feel old. And that is that there is a notable transfer across the state of Texas. And that is that Louisville High School is getting an enrollment from a young man who starred at Frisco Heritage this past year. He announced on social media that he's going to be a senior this year, a running back who ran for 1,700 yards or 1,700 receiving yards and 20 touchdown catches over the past 2 seasons. He's a wide receiver there. His name is Tatum Bell Jr. And there is a certain segment of the populace who is my age or older who is saying there's no way. Because Tatum Bell, you may remember as former Oklahoma State standout and former NFL standout, Tatum Bell. who was so good for the Denver Broncos for so long. Yes, his son, who will be a senior this year, is a star wide receiver and will be transferring to Louisville High School. It is Tatum Bell Jr. Is going to be coming to a high school football team game near you. If that doesn't make you feel old, you're just too young. But that popped across. But Greg Powers filed that report on TexasFootball.com last week, and I was down bad. I was having a tough time with that. A couple of these names that are popping up. It's like Reggie McNeil Jr. Like Reggie McNeil Jr. is like a star, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. We can't be doing this, guys. Because what does that mean about me? Like Des Bryant's kid. Des Bryant's kid is like a star, by the way.
That one hits me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. The Bell one doesn't necessarily do it for me.
It's coming for you. Time waits for no
Yeah.
man. Anyway, there's some headlines from across the state of Texas.